Hi everyone, it's a new month, so that means it's time for me to share a new toy collection for the Zub Collection Club. A couple of weeks ago, Amazon announced that they will be producing a Lord of the Rings TV show, so it seems like the perfect time to share my Lord of the Rings action figure collection. The first of these figures were released in late 2001, right before Fellowship of the Ring hit theaters, and they were manufactured by ToyBiz. I remember seeing these figures in the store and being amazed at how much they actually looked like the characters from the film. That's because they used a new technology to make these figures, and if I'm remembering correctly, I think they scanned the actual actors so that they could get accurate models. Now this toy line is huge, and I probably don't even have 25% of it complete if you include all the character variants. But let's get started with the Fellowship. First up is Boromir, who comes with his sword, shield, and horn. He has a button on his back that I think used to move one of his arms, but it no longer works on mine. Action features were huge in this line, and several figures have big, ugly buttons on their backs. That fortunately, some of them have big capes that hide them. Next to him is Gandalf. The outer robe of this particular Gandalf is removable, so you can make better use out of the articulation in his arms. The crystal in the top of Gandalf's staff lights up too, if you bend his arm at the elbow. Unfortunately, I don't have any button batteries laying around to show you how it works. In the middle is Frodo, and I just noticed he's given the one ring on the table there some real side-eye. Frodo comes with a base that when you rotate the ring, it changes the forest from a cheerful place to a nightmare with a ring wraith emerging from the trees. Next is Aragorn, or Strider, and he has an action feature that if you squeeze his legs together, he draws his sword. Gimli shares the same squeezy leg gimmick, and he raises his arm. He came with that table that Frodo was eyeing, and he could try to destroy the ring, but he just ends up breaking his axe instead. Legolas can't be left out of the party wave, because he also has a squeezy legs. I appreciate all the little details on Legolas, such as the fact that his bow is actually strung with string, and he has several loose arrows in his quiver. The Hobbits are hanging out above the rest of the Fellowship, starting with Pippin, Merry, and Sam. They all have the buttons on the back that raise or lowers their right arm. And I'm not sure what's going on with Sam's cape, but he must be standing in a particularly windy area. Then there's old Bilbo. He comes with a base that is the front door of his home at Bag End. Golum is a bit different than the other figures because he's all rubbery and bendy, with wire running through his body. He came with a rock that, if I remember right, it used to say some of his phrases from the movies, but once again it takes button batteries. Then there's another old Bilbo and Sam that weren't part of my original collection. I found these two at a flea market earlier this year for like $1 each. I think they're from later on in the line because their feet have hinges, while all of my other hobbits lack that particular point of articulation. I didn't want to buy duplicate characters in this line, but I made a few other exceptions, and one of those is Legolas, just because he looks so cool in that partial Rohirrim armor. On the next shelf is Eowyn in her armored disguise. She's another member of Team Buttonback, and that raises her arm. Her brother Eomer is in the battle spirit, posed for a war cry, or maybe he's just singing Christmas carols really loudly. On the other hand, King Theoden looks like he's in deep thought, planning battle strategies, or perhaps what he's going to have for supper. He's another Buttonback. Then I have another Eowyn, but I thought her purple dress was different enough from her battle armor that I justified in my mind getting another version of her. And yet another Buttonback. It seems only right to have Faramir standing next to her. He also comes with one of those nicely strung bows. And yep, he has a button on his back. Galadriel is interesting with her cloth robes, but she's going to break our streak because she doesn't have an action feature. Elrond has a huge heavy cape. He also is part of the squeezy leg crew. I think that feature is supposed to make it look like he's swinging his sword or some other kind of battle feature, but to me, it just looks like he's doing a terrible job of elvish dancing. Above the goodies are the baddies. We have Lurtz, who Boromir is not a fan of. And then we have another uruk high warrior. I believe this guy was a mail-away promotion from Burger King of all places. He's pretty much Lurtz with different face paint and a new hat. I don't even think he came with any weapons or shields or anything. Those two are both button backs. Then there's a Moria Orc. I believe this guy was sold with Merry and Pippin. Then there's Saruman. His black ball, the Palantir, is pretty neat, and it connects to the magnet in his hand or the magnets on top of the black base. And he's also a new category of action feature, a leverback. Ooh. Which does the same thing as the button backs. Then there's Grima Wormtongue. Even his action figure looks slimy-natured. He's another button back. One of the coolest things about this toy line, though, is they made mounts. Big, glorious horses. Love them. I wish I would have bought the rest of them when they were out, because you just don't see too many 1/12 scale horses anymore. I know Legolas had a horse, and I think Aragorn had one or two. Anyway, the first mounted figure is Arwen, with dying Frodo riding in front of her. Then there's Gandalf the White, with his cloth robes to make it easier for him to ride Shadowfax. The Wraith has a steed of his own, and when the reins are pulled, the horse's bottom lip curls back. And if I'm remembering correctly, the eyes glowed red on this horse too. But once again, button batteries. Then there's another mounted orc, and I can't remember his name. He's on top of a warg. The orc has a huge button on his back. All of the mounts are button butts, with the horses moving their front legs, while the warg has snapping jaws. I have two final figures to share that are just too big to fit on my shelf. The first of these is a cave troll, with two unsightly levers on his back. One moves his arm to stab with his spear, and the other to pound with his hammer. His jaw also opens, and I believe he used to have sound. He takes AA batteries, but the sound on mine no longer works. The cave troll is huge compared to the regular figures, but even he is dwarfed by my next one. The last figure is the largest action figure of all the stuff I own. It's Treebeard, and he has a lever that raises his arm. His hand is articulated, so he can grab other figures. He also talks. He takes 2 AA batteries, and mine still works. He speaks several phrases, including,
I told Gandalf I would keep you safe, and safe is where I'll keep you. But don't be hasty.
This collection series has been a lot of fun for me, and I love how some of you are participating as well. So I'm going to keep continuing this series into next year as well. Make sure you check out the December Zub Collection Club playlist to check out some of the toy videos of my viewers. And remember, everyone's welcome to join in on this club. Just check out this video's description for more information and for the instructions. Thanks for watching.